It's now October, you know what that means. It's time for some Halloween/horror themed videos. Woo! Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 favorite scenes in horror films. Yes, I've been wanting to do this kind of top 10 list since last year when I did my Halloween themed videos. But yeah, I finally get to do this list now. I'm excited to do it because I love talking about certain scenes in certain films, and horror movies have some very intriguing scenes. Sometimes they're really scary, sometimes they're very funny, sometimes they're very clever, very well made scenes. They're just well put together and well constructed scenes. There's a lot of different types of scenes in horror films that I love, and I want to talk about my personal favorites. And when I talk about my favorite scenes in horror movies, I'm not saying like what are the scariest scenes in horror movies, what is the spookiest scenes in horror movies, not even like the best made scenes in horror movies. Well, some of these are the best made scenes in horror movies, but these are just my personal favorite scenes. They could be like little scenes, they could be big scenes, a few second scenes, a few minute scenes. They're just certain scenes in horror films that I just personally love, and they just add on the greatness of all these great horror films. And yeah, I just love these scenes and I just want to talk about them. This is my top 10 personal favorite scenes in horror films. Alright, let's get to it. Coming in at number 10 is the investigation scene from The Conjuring. Yes, this scene, like, there's a lot of investigation scenes in the first Conjuring film, and I know there's a lot of moments I could have went with in The Conjuring, like the whole ending when they do the exorcism on the mother at the end of the movie Conjuring. Like, everyone loves that scene. It's such a spooky scene. Also, the scene with, like, the blanket, that's a really creepy scene. The opening with the Annabelle doll that introduced us to Annabelle, that's a very creepy scene. It's a great scene. I almost went with that scene, but the scene I went with was sort of, not really an homage, but they just do a couple scenes of the Warrens investigating people's homes, and there's nothing in their homes. And this is why I love this whole sequence so much. The sequence actually kind of begins with them talking at the school and how people think they're crazy and stuff and everything, but they said there are supernatural things, but it's not always supernatural things. Sometimes people, call on the Warrens to be like famous and stuff because, hey, I have a ghost and stuff. But they really want to be like in the newspaper and stuff, which I like that. It's realistic. And also they go to people's homes and people think they have ghosts in their homes, but they don't. Like the strange noises in their homes, it could be like the pipes or it could be like the wood and everything. And there's the scene in the movie, they go to all these people's homes and there's nothing supernatural about their homes. It's just, there's a logical explanation of why creepy things are happening in their homes, which I like. Because these Warrens, I love these characters. Like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga do an amazing job playing the Warrens, and they could have easily made them like these most cliched characters, like they're servants of God and everything, and they could have made this sequence of them going to people's homes and them fighting ghosts and, performing exorcisms and blessing their homes, but they didn't. These characters do believe in demons and spirits, but they are very logical characters. They're both Mulder and Scully. They're both sort of Mulder and Scully. They are believers, but they are also skeptics. Every case they take, they're very skeptical, and they always try to point out a logical reasoning before they get into, the demons and ghosts and everything. And in this sequence, they go to these people's homes and they investigate properly, and they show them that there is a logical explanation of why creepy things are happening. And I love this sequence because it points out the flaw of a lot of horror movies. Like, it builds on the eeriness and stuff, and it makes you like these characters and stuff. They don't get into the crazy shit right at first. No, it shows that these are smart and clever characters, which a lot of horror movies don't like to do. They just like to, get into the horror film and not establish the characters as smart and cool and interesting characters. These are very smart and very logical characters. And logic is not always a big thing in horror movies, and this sequence just shows you that this story is logical and these characters are very logical. And that's why I just love this whole sequence, and it's my favorite sequence in The Conjuring. I love the batshit crazy moments, but that scene, I just love it. Coming number 9 is Here's Johnny from The Shining. Yes, I just talked about a logical and a very calm scene in a horror film, and now I just went to a batshit insane scene from The Shining. And again, there are so many scenes I could have went from for The Shining. Of course, I know everyone's gonna be saying, what about the hallway scene? Yes, when he's riding his bike down the hall and the freaking Grady twins are standing there and they're like, come play with us. Then they're like dead on the floor and stuff. That is it's a very unsettling scene. It's a very well shot scene. It's a great scene. Also, the red rum. Very good scene. Also, the bathtub scene. Yeah, the very disgusting scene with the old lady and shit. And of course, the chase scene with them in the snow maze. Also, when Scatman Crothers gets killed by Johnny. There's just so many great scenes in The Shining. Even the beginning is so great. But Here's Johnny is like the most classic scene. I'll count it from the moment Shelley Duvall finds Jack in his room and stuff with the writing on the wall, all the way up to the scene when he starts like bashing on her door and puts his face in there and goes, here's Johnny, little pigs, let me in, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Give me that, honey, give me the bat. Just like, I love this scene because it just shows you the batshit insane performance Jack Nicholson gives as Jack Torrance, and it's so entertaining. It's one of the most classic, iconic moments in horror films, and it's just one of the funnest scenes ever. It's just so entertaining, and you get to milk the performance up with Jack Nicholson. It's just so great. I know those other scenes are more iconic, but I just love that scene. Coming in number 8 is the ending to The Exorcist. Okay, for this one, I'm going to be talking in code because I don't want to spoil this movie. I don't want to spoil I'm going to be spoiling some moments from movies, but I don't want to spoil major things in film because just in case someone hasn't seen it. And I know actually, even though The Exorcist is one of the most iconic horror films, it's like one of the scariest films of all time, but I know there is audiences that haven't seen The Exorcist yet, so I do not want to spoil the ending to The Exorcist. That kind of ruins the whole film if I just spoil the ending. But at the same time, I kind of have to talk about the ending because it's on this top 10 list, so I'll talk in code. I'm spoiling it, but not spoiling it. I am spoiling it, but I'm going to talk, again, I'll talk in code. Pretty much at the ending of the movie, a character gives their life for another character to save that character's life. And the way the character sacrifices their self is probably one of the most badass moments in all of horror film. And it just shows you that this character is a true soldier of God, and it just big F you to another character, and it's just so freaking great. It's just so awesome. It's one of the best character arcs in a horror film, and then how it all ends up, it's very kind of inspiring and stuff. It's sad, it's emotional, it's dark as shit, but it shows you that someone can give their life for someone else, and they just met this person, but they will do it because it is the right thing to do, and that's all I can say. Again, I know all of you who have seen this movie yet have no idea what I'm talking about, but I can't spoil the ending to the movie because it ruins The Exorcist, but it's a great ending. It's so great. It's so intense. I remember first watching this movie, my nails were digging into the chair. I'm like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my god, what's going to happen? Oh my god, what's going to happen? No! Just such a cool, badass moment for a character. And the way how it all ends up is a very happy ending for two characters, but not the other characters. That's all I'm going to say. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I love the ending to The Exorcist. It's such a great ending. It's badass, it's tension-filled, it's scary, it's unsettling, it's dark, it's uplifting, it's sad, it's happy, it's depressing, it's all of the emotions, and it's just so well done, so well directed. What William Friedkin did with it was so great. Great movie, and a great ending. Come number 7 is Samara comes out of the TV from the ring. That sounds odd. This is a great movie. This is very, I can't say it's underrated, actually. I think a lot of people really like this movie. It spawned 2 sequels. Bad sequels, but still, it spawned 2 sequels, and yeah, I like this movie. I like the Japanese version, Ringu. That's our great movie. I like this movie a little bit more, actually. I think this is a really solid film. I think Gore Verbinski did a very good job. I think Naomi Watts is really good, and there is some genuine tension. I thought Ringu was more of a atmospheric thriller, more than a straight horror film. This is more of a straight horror film. Yes, there's more. It's still a thriller, too. It has a lot of investigations, you know. It's Naomi Watts investigating this girl, how she died and stuff, investigating Samara, how these people are dying, why these people are dying. When you watch this videotape, you have 7 days to live. 7 days. So creepy. And yeah, the ending, this is near the ending of the movie. Again, I won't spoil what happens, but basically, when everyone dies, their TVs come on, it's all static and stuff, and then the big ring shape comes, and then basically you see Samara's face, and then the person dies, because they cut, and then they show the person's dead body, they're all like, ah, and they're all like blue and purple, they're like, ah, but you don't know what she really did to them. The ending, you kind of figure out what she does to them, and you actually get to see Samara up close and personal, and it's creepy as shit. Yeah, like, it happens, I won't say what character, but a certain main character, they watch the tape, and their 7 days are up and stuff, and then this character looks, and his TV's all static and everything, and all you see is Samara's hand coming right out of the TV, and she just, like, walks slowly out, and she stands up, and then whoosh, she almost does, like a friggin' Super Saiyan move, like, does, like, a teleportation right in front of the character's face, and, oh, it's just such a creepy, unsettling moment, and so well directed. It's very tension-filled, it's very spooky, very creepy. The girl actress just looks the part so well, and just a very creepy scene, and yeah, I absolutely love it. Coming number 6 is the opening to Halloween. Yes, Halloween, I love Halloween. Halloween's such a great movie. Don't we all love Halloween? Not the movie, I'm kidding. Halloween, directed by John Carpenter. This is such a great film, one of my favorite horror films, one of my favorite John Carpenter films, not my all-time favorite. Anyways, we'll get to that. Halloween is a great movie. It's a great story. It was actually inspired a little bit by Black Christmas, a Canadian horror film. Go Canada, we did something right. I love this film. It's a great spooky horror movie. Michael Myers, the creepy mask, Jamie Lee Curtis, so great. The opening is so good, though. I love how the film opens. You basically get to see Michael Myers as a little kid murder his sister. And it is so unsettling. The movie begins and you see Michael Myers as a little kid, and his little sister big sister, didn't take him out for trick-or-treating. She's like hooking up with her boyfriend and everything. And basically you see Michael Myers put on the mask, his like weird creepy mask. And the movie, and then the whole beginning is a tracking shot, but also a point of view shot of Michael Myers, and him just like walking, putting the mask on, going in the kitchen, grabbing the knife, him walking slowly, walk up the stairs. Again, it's all done in one shot. It literally wasn't done in one shot. It just looks like it was all done in one shot. I think it was done in 3 shots, but it's all done in a tracking shot, and it's also a point of view shot. You see Michael's eyes. It's like you're Michael Myers with the knife walking up the stairs slowly, and then he goes into his sister's room and freaking brutally stabs her to death. Yeah, and you see it all again through a point of view shot, and then you just see Michael run down the stairs, and then you see the parents come, they rip the mask off of him, and he's got the bloody knife, and it's just an unsettling opening to a film. It's brutal and clever. It's just the way they did the point of view in the tracking shot, it just makes it so crazy and unsettling, because you feel like you're in Michael Myers' perspective. You're in Michael Myers' shoes, murdering the sister. It's unsettling, and what a brilliant way to open a film. And yeah, great opening. Coming number 5 is the sequel talk from Scream 2. Yes, I love this scene. This is just a straight up funny scene. This is not a scary scene. This is just Wes Craven just being Wes Craven and stuff, being his typical awesome self. This is in Scream 2. This is near the beginning-ish of the film, and basically it's a film class. You can see like Randy and stuff. You can see Timothy Olyphant, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Cece. You wanna die tonight, Cece? You get to see Joshua Jackson and a few other people, and basically it's this film class, and they're basically all talking about the movie Stab, and they basically are talking in the beginning of this conversation. The whole scene is amazing. It's like one of my favorite scenes. It's just because it's basically me talking to my friends and stuff. It's a film lover's favorite scene because it's film lovers talking about film. Basically, at the beginning of the conversation, the class is all talking about how Stab inspired the murders of these two people that died in the beginning. The beginning of the movie, Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps die, and they're all thinking, like, is it because of the movie? People are watching the movie and going all crazy and stuff. And then there's, like, different debates, like, no, movies don't make people crazy and stuff. People don't get inspired to murder people because of movies, and then people are like, oh, yes, they do and stuff because they're so violent and disgusting. They think it's cool to murder people and stuff. So it's an interesting debate and stuff, and I like it. It's cool. People are talking about realistic things and stuff, because that happens in real life in our society. People watch weird shit and get ideas and stuff. There's something fucking wrong with people sometimes. And then it gets into sequel talk, which is my favorite part of the conversation. Then they start talking about sequels, like, oh, Stab 2? That's stupid. Sequels suck. Then all of a sudden they all start talking about sequels and movie sequels. What's a good sequel? What's a bad sequel? They're all like, oh, T2, no, Terminator one's better. Aliens, yeah, back away from her, you bitch. I believe the line is, get away from her, you bitch. This is film class, right? It's such a great scene, well-written scene. It's a funny scene. It's just a personal favorite of mine. I know it's nothing iconic or anything, but it's a good scene. Coming in number 4 is the ending to the Night of the Living Dead. Yes, the original 1960s George A. Romero Night of the Living Dead film. I love this movie. Everyone knows that this is like one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It's my favorite George A. Romero movie. I love it. It's classic. It's cheesy. It's campy. I love every second of it. I love the characters, even though some of them are complete stock horror movie characters, but I love it. It's just such a cool and classic, timeless zombie film. It inspired all the great zombie movies. Everyone would say White Zombie did it. No, that started it. This is what made it a classic and made it awesome. And I love the ending to this movie. This is like the first like legit horror movie ending that so many horror movies borrow the trope from. It's from this ending. And again, I don't want to spoil the ending, but basically something happens to the main character, and that's all I'm going to say. It's an ending you don't see coming, especially if you saw this in the 1960s, because horror movies nowadays, you can predict endings, but when this movie came out, you could not predict how this movie was going to end. And you think the movie's going to end one way, and then something happens. And the way it happens, it's not even in a typical horror movie way. It's just something that just comes out of nowhere, and it's a direct shock. Like, even watching this movie, I watched this movie, like, the first time I watched it was, like, probably 10 years ago. And again, I was very familiar with horror movie cliches and just general horror films. I didn't even see the ending to this movie coming. It was a great twist and a big surprise, and I absolutely love it. It's like one of my favorite endings to a horror film, because you just don't see it coming, and again, I won't spoil it, but damn, it's a great ending, and one of my favorite scenes in horror films. Come number 3 is a classic, the shower scene from Psycho. This is everyone's favorite. This is like almost everyone's favorite. This is a genuinely tension-filled, scary, creepy scene. The way it's shot is brilliant. The way Hitchcock directed this scene was phenomenal. You don't ever see the knife actually stab Marion Crane. Just spoilers, Marion Crane dies. Everyone fucking knows that. Even people who don't even know the movie Psycho, they know the shower scene from Psycho. And it's so cool because Marion Crane is like the main character, and they just kill the main character off like right in the ending of the first act, which is something just You never see that. Even movies nowadays don't even do that very much, and it's a great scene. It's a very creepy, very unsettling scene. Just in case you haven't seen Psycho, I won't spoil who the killer is, but basically Janet Leigh, Marion Crane, is taking a shower, and then you just see someone slowly coming in the bathroom, and then the curtains go, Janet Leigh screams, and all you see is this amazing score. Yes, Bernard Herrmann's score, amazing score. The burner, it's the classic stabbing gesture. You just see the arms stab, you hear the noise, and again, it's shot so amazingly because it's in black and white and they didn't want to show blood and stuff. You never actually see the knife stab her. It's just all through motions and great camera movement. It's such a well shot scene and a very well directed scene and amazingly acted by Janet Leigh. It's just such an amazing scene. It is like the definition of the classic horror movie scene. Anytime you ask someone, think of a classic horror movie scene, everyone thinks of the shower scene in Psycho. It's one of the creepiest scenes in all films, and it's one of the best. Coming number 2 is, speaking of another classic scene, this is another hugely classic scene from one of my favorite films of all time, Alien, and yes, that is the chestbuster scene from Alien. Yes, again, this is a mild spoiler, but again, most people have seen this movie, or at least you've seen this scene. And basically, it happens when they're all eating dinner and stuff, and you know something's not right, because the facehugger went on John Hurt, Kane, the character Kane's face, and you don't know what this thing is and what it did to him, and then it just eventually comes off, and Kane wakes up, and everything's all good. They're all about to, go back in the ice chambers and be frozen again, but then they all decide to have dinner before that. And they're eating dinner, it's all nice and calm and stuff, but something doesn't feel quite right. And all of a sudden, John Hurt just starts coughing when you think he's choking on the food. And all of a sudden, he just looks like he's having a seizure. He goes on the table, starts flipping out and freaking out. He's screaming on the top of his lungs. You're like, oh my god, what is happening? What is going on with John Hurt? What's happening? He's screaming, all of a sudden, blood just explodes on his shirt. Then he's just again having a seizure. And all of a sudden, this little alien just comes right bursting out of his chest. You see the blood everywhere. Everyone's like, oh my god, what the fuck is that? And you just see the little xenomorph with this and just sprints out across the table and just disappears, and it is a disgusting, disturbing, really creepy scene, and I love every second of it. Again, Ridley Scott, he really put a lot of tension and atmosphere in the scene, and again, John Hurt's performance is just so great. Anytime I watch that scene, you could feel the agony John Hurt is going through this scene, it's such a great scene. It's one of the most iconic scenes in all of sci-fi and horror films, and I love it. And my number 1 favorite scene in a horror film is the blood testing scene from John Carpenter's The Thing. Yes, I wore this shirt for a reason. Yes, I love John Carpenter's The Thing is one of my favorite horror films. Alien is, if you classify Alien as a straight horror film, that's my favorite. Again, if you count The Thing also as a straight horror film, they're both sci-fi horror. Sci-fi is my favorite genre, so if you combine sci-fi and horror together, you're gonna get something magical. And I still think Alien is a better movie, but this scene is my favorite scene in horror films. This has everything that I want in a scene. It has tension, it has great score, great performances. It makes you feel unsettled and creepy. You don't know what's going to happen. It builds to something, and then the payoff is just awesome. Again, like the chest-busting scene, like the shower scene, it builds to something, and you can feel the tension, and the score brews, and the tension, the atmosphere brew, and then again, when it pays off freaking awesome. And yeah, I love the blood testing scene. Again, it's sort of a spoiler, but basically this alien parasite is like haunting these guys in Antarctica. And yeah, this alien can become any person it wants. It kills its host, and it becomes whoever that person is. And they have no idea who's real, who's really a human, or who's really a thing. And basically, the only way to figure it out, because the only way to kill this alien is through fire. So basically, they all have to take a blood test. They all cut themselves, and they put their blood in a little glass jar. And then, Kurt Russell's character, McCready, he knows that he's human, so he tests it first on himself. That he grabs one of the flamethrowers and one of the flame torchers, and he burns a hot needle, and he stabs each person's blood to see if they're human. And if they stab the blood and nothing happens, they're human. He does himself first. It's all good. And then he slowly goes through each crew member's blood, stabbing the blood. You have no idea who is human, who is not human. So anytime McCready burns that needle and stabs someone's blood, they really build on it. They build with the score and the atmosphere, and you have no idea who's a thing. And it's always unsettling. Anytime he's about to stab someone's blood, you have no idea what's about to happen. You're just like, and even all of them, they're like all tensioned. They have no idea who's human and who's an alien. It's just such a well-crafted scene. And then when you find out something, like one person's like, well, it's definitely not me. He's like, I know, but you had the keys, and I'll do your blood last. Then just all of a sudden, I won't say whose blood, someone's blood just starts exploding, and it's like an alien, and one of them becomes a thing right there in the room with them. They have to kill this person, he kills another person. It's just an all-around crazy scene. It has also a great line too. I don't want to spend all my time tied to this fucking chair. Just such a great scene. It has everything I want in a good horror movie scene. It has tension, it has scares, it has atmosphere, a good direction, a good score, and wonderful performances. Kurt Russell in that scene is just so great. Everyone, Keith David, everyone is just so great, and I absolutely love the scene. Now, again, there's a lot of great scenes in The Thing. The ending, I wanted to put the ending to The Thing on there because I love the ending to The Thing. It's just such a great scene, and I also love of course, the doctor scene when he does, with the paddles and his hands get ripped off. Like, that's a classic scene too, but the blood testing scene like that is a good horror movie scene. I think the ending is just a great ending. Like, when it comes to, movie endings, it's a great ending. But when it comes to straight horror movie scenes, the blood testing scene, that's, one of my all-time favorites. And I think it's my actual favorite scene in a horror film. And yeah, it's just such a great scene. So yeah, that's my top 10 personal favorite scenes in horror movies. I hope you enjoyed this list. And yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, what are your top 10 favorite scenes in horror films? They don't all have to be scary scenes, as long as they're scenes in horror films. Yeah, so yeah, what are your top 10 favorites? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.